So today we'll be looking at something interesting. So we will be talking. So when you have to deal with some decisions in your transaction, right?
Okay.
Some automated decisions have to be there. Each time I cannot have a person sitting in front of the system to take a decision. Not required. I can just automate the decisions. So let's see how do you automate some decisions here. We will have, or we will try to look at this process in a different way. This is a collect information, collect candidate info process. Okay, now on the process, if I click on configure process here, it takes you to a complete different perspective of this process. So this is how a process looks in the backend. So when it is part of a case type, it just looks like simple steps. But when you
Sorry,
look
how did you
as
go
a,
here?
in
How did you go here?
So I just clicked on this configure symbol. Let me show it once again. So here you have this configure symbol, right? Configure
Okay.
process.
Okay. Okay. Configure process. Okay.
Right. Once you click on this, you get to see the back end structure of your process. So this is how it looks like a simple flow chart.
Oh yeah.
Right?
It's like
You
a
have a
flow chart.
starting point, you have an ending point. There are some shapes, there are some connectors. This just looks similar to your flow chart.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if I want to add in decisions, there isn't any decision step directly. So if I look at
Yeah, this
your
is
process,
just sequential, isn't it? It's just going sequential.
correct. So here I cannot add any step called decision. There isn't any that. Right? I cannot add a step called decision. I don't have anything like that. So what I'll do, I'll the process. Okay, here I can add in different kinds of shapes. So here comes your shapes. And these are the
Workflow
ones,
diagrams.
assignment. Right. Whatever are calculation steps, they are nothing but your assignment shapes.
Yeah,
Okay.
no problem.
So let us add in some decision here. But on what basis should I add? Okay, let's run the case. We'll see where can you add some decisions. We'll see that. And I think we are collecting some gap in education details from the candidate, right?
Okay.
Part of his educational info, somewhere we are collecting the gap in education. Okay. Now, so I will take this decision point. Okay. So if the gap in education is greater than 2 years, I want the candidate to follow up with HR. Okay. And if it is less than, I want him to provide some supporting documents. Right? So this is a decision that has to be taken. Now, I don't need a person to take this decision, right? So it can be automated. So we'll see how do we do that. Okay, so let us check if we have that inputs or not. Let us check that once.
What does that mean? The create step
Okay.
in the recruitment case type does not yet have a
The
view
first,
defined.
right, the first stage that was created by default did not add any UI for it, right? We did not add any forms and all. So it says it
But we
doesn't
can
have.
do. Can we do if it's
Yes,
needed?
we can do. Yes. Yes, we can. We can.
Okay.
Okay, I think better we'll go with it directly. Go to the case type. Yes. So my agenda is to add a decision on this
Step.
aspect. Okay. So how do I do? You can just click on a plus, then a decision. Okay, so here comes your decision shape. Okay, let me
So you
name
can
it.
drag wherever you want.
Yes, you just need to click on it. That should do.
Mhm.
Or anywhere on the screen. Also, you can just right click and you can add the decision. So right click also would bring you the shapes. And as soon as I add this decision shape, you see on the right side panel, I mean, you are getting some options there. Still loading. Let's see what options we get. Right. So this is your decision, and for the decision, you give some inputs, or you should tell the outputs and all. It's not
Mhm.
like I add a decision directly, but you should also configure it. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
let me just name my decision related to gap in education.
Education.
Right. Now, based upon this, what is the condition? Or on what basis you are defining a condition here? Okay. So here also you have two options. Is it a custom condition? Is it an existing condition? So
Mhm.
existing as in like provided in the system. But this gap in
Sorry,
education is a new entity that I've
what is
added. So it
existing
will not be
condition? It broke there.
I mean, few conditions will be provided by the system already. So
Okay.
we can check. I mean, like, they would be more of a generic conditions. Okay, some
Mhm.
things related to date, future date, past date. So more of a generic conditions there. Okay, but as per my
Mhm.
scenario, gap in education is the one I created, so it wouldn't be available in the existing conditions,
Yeah.
obviously. So let me click on custom condition, and here you can configure your conditions. Okay, let me click on this, the crosshair symbol or the settings symbol. You see, I clicked on it to define my
Mhm.
condition. Okay, so in order to define your condition, I click the down arrow, click on the fields. You see, these are all the fields that I've added on my
Yeah, on the
right.
UI, isn't it?
Correct. Correct. So here is the gap in education. As it is an integer, I see the comparators according to it.
Mhm.
So gap in education maybe greater than 2. Okay. If you have more
Mhm.
conditions, you can just give plus sign. You can add multiple conditions. But
So
here
how
I'm
does
only
it take?
concerned with
Or like if you add multiple, what will happen?
you can define it. You can define
Okay. So we have two conditions,
or
isn't
and
it?
if you
Or
have some correct, you can have multiple also. And in case if it is multiple, you can use the advanced logic. There
okay.
you can actually build your logical statement there.
Mhm.
So let me just delete these. Here I'm only concerned with the gap indication, right? So let me
Yeah.
submit. Now see what happens. As soon as I submit this,
Okay, it came with that. Mm.
alright. So yes, we got this. Then if the condition is met, go to. Where does it need to go to? You need to define that. In which path should it go? If not, I mean else, the else condition, otherwise go to where. So I need to define these two options.
Mhm.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just right click, add one more assignment. one for the positive scenario and one for the negative scenario. So one is to follow up with HR and other is to submit some documents, right? So let me
Yes.
change it. Follow up with HR. And then the next one is to provide documents. Okay, now I should define if the condition is met, if it is greater than 2, I should follow up with the HR, right? If it is less than, then provide some documents. You see, the arrow is just pointing according to the assignment that we give here.
Yeah. So we need not connect it anywhere.
We should, because if it's if you're dealing with a flow chart, you should have all the shapes connected, right? So if it's
Yeah.
part of, if it's not connected to anywhere, then it
Yeah, it will not
will
take
not be
effect, isn't it?
executed. Correct. So what I'll do is on this particular screen, I'm getting the information, right? So move this connector. I'll just put this connector to the gap in education. Okay, like this.
Okay.
Now these two, what should I do with these two? After my provide documents or follow up with HR, whatever is the transaction, I want this to be connected with the experience info.
Yeah.
So I can just point it like this. So this is your flowchart, right?
Is it
You
drag
have
and drop you're doing?
yeah. I'm just if you get this sort of symbol, no, that 4 arrow marks,
Yeah. Yeah.
you will be
You
able
can
to
just do
move
anything.
it
Okay.
across the you'll be able to move it across. Now let's save it. And whatever shape I add here, should they be reflected back in my case type as steps?
Yes. Yes.
Right. So let us see if I get some new steps. Yes, I got it. So I've got this gap in education, follow up with HR, and I've got provide documents also. But here,
Okay.
looking at this directly, you may not understand what is the actual process that is happening, because not
Yeah.
every we have some simple steps, right? You may have some complicated process also. So for
Yeah.
that, we should all make sure look at the process. Only then you can understand what is happening.
What is happening in the background? Yeah.
Right. So let us run this and check how the system reacts. So earlier you were asking, right? The create one doesn't have any view. What does it mean? First stage, the create stage, we did not configure any fields on it. So it
Yeah.
says it doesn't have a view defined. But we can do it. Okay, so none of these are mandatory. So I would just
Yeah.
it further. Okay, so here is my input gap in education. I would like to give 6 years. So what my next assignment, the immediate assignment that I see?
It will be going to the HR step, I think.
Right. So it has to be a follow up with HR. Let's
Yeah.
see. Right. Got it. Follow up with HR. After which it proceeds with the next get experience info. Next it goes to the the next the sequential process. If anything there's been, then it goes to the stage and like that. Now what about the other scenario? Let us do that as well. Okay, so each time you don't need to go to this case type, then click on save and run, not required. You can also go to this new recruitment. Okay, let me submit. And gap in education maybe 1 year. So it has
Yeah.
to be a provide documents. Yes. So I'm on the provide documents step. Okay. So rest of the flow would just continue as designed. So
Mm-hmm.
this, we are trying to automate some decisions here depending upon the user input.
Yeah.
Okay. So this automating decision is also part of the controlling your case workflow. So you can use optional actions, you can use skipping stages and steps, you can use parallel processes, you can use automated decisions. So all these will
Mm-hmm.
enable you to control the case workflow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So are we good with controlling the case workflow? Any
Yeah.
questions?
Yeah. Not.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whatever
yeah.
you
Sorry. Go
spoke
ahead.
about is all good. Yeah. Whatever you explained is all good.
Right. Okay. Great.